Heroes of Greyhawk is a game played by adults and recorded for an adult audience. Sometimes we use adult language and explore adult topics. Consider yourself warned.
My friends, last time on the Outlaws of Greyhawk, a small gang of scoundrels rode out across the Callenstrin countryside, a bit south of Redoubt, to intercept a valuable shipment destined for Crockport. This crew, hungry for revenge, motivated with an intense purpose, used deception, disguise, information, strategy, and relentless might to overtake the wagon and waylay its escorts, a mercenary group working for Crockport's Merchants Guild. The guildsmen were overcome, but not without consequence for the gang, who showed some signs of a frail fellowship. Their mistrust of one another was kind of boiling a little bit at the surface, but nevertheless, the cargo was received. The crate of ingots of some unknown ore, along with a crate of amazingly beautiful swords that appeared to have been crafted from that ore, a crystalline sphere, gems, potions, pretty good score. Not to mention a mysterious scroll, a scroll case, sealed with wax and imprinted with the symbol of a long-necked, long-legged bird. The gang also learned the name of the individual that they just robbed, as the wagon's driver, having somehow survived the battle, explained that they just crossed a man that they didn't want to cross, a man by the name of Magnus Crane. And the driver quickly ran off and disappeared in the countryside. And so with a sense of urgency, the bodies of the victims of this heist were looted and burned. Only 2 guildsmen escaped, and that's only because you let them. Salvaging what they could, the gang drove the wagon team towards Lake Erstin and a remote, wretched steel hideout nestled along the steep shoreline, an outpost that they'd been directed to seek out, delivering the stolen cargo and gaining passage back to Crockport along the wretched steel's secret smuggling routes. Putting a distance between themselves and the site of the robbery, Grukka and Melantha stopped along the ridgeline, where they observed a cloud of dust being kicked up in the distance from the direction that they'd just come. Someone was following them, and at a pretty good clip to boot. So they made haste and they pressed on. With the crew was forced to abandon their haul due to the rugged terrain that they encountered. They unloaded the wagon, set the horse team loose, and stashed the stolen cargo before continuing on foot. Shortly thereafter, they arrived at their destination, an old hunting lodge and its inhabitants, members of the wretched Steel Gang. Basically your employers. Pleasantries, if you can call them that, were exchanged. The leader, Dead-Eye Dolan, a handful of the gang members stationed out there, a red-headed half-elf named Zelavon, Len, the crooked-beaked halfling that talks mostly in whispers, Ghost, a dentured goblin, and Red Bill, a red-bearded dwarf, to name just a few. Nevertheless, it is here that we return to the story, my friends. It is midday as you have settled into these new accommodations. The cargo that you had stashed has been piled in the great hall of this old, dusty, though well-lived-in hunting lodge. The members of the wretched Steel Gang are going about their business, doing the things that they do. And you are sort of left to your devices here in the latter half of this day. You've been informed that there will be a dinner served after sundown, and you've been informed that in the morning you will be setting out, headed towards Crockport, under the guidance of a, shall we say, bugbear riverboat captain. For those of you that have any sort of geographic sort of knowledge, perhaps, or cartographic sort of skill, or just remembering maps you've seen, there aren't many rivers that head north from Lake Erstin. So you're not quite sure what that means, but nevertheless, in the morning, you're due to set out. Now, as we jump in, what would you guys like to do as this day continues? You've got basically this whole lodge and the surrounds available to you.
Mel would like to keep her eye on Dolan, see where he goes, what he does, because him being the one with the most authority in the gang right now, she feels like that he has the most knowledge and information about who this new name that popped up in her brother's journal, who he is, what he's about. Maybe she can get an idea of why he popped up in there.
Yeah, so Deadeye Dolan, he's indeed, as you indicated, sort of the leader of this group, this cell of the Wretched Steel Gang. And, you know, he spends most of the afternoon making sure that you're settled in, making sure that, you know, all of the cargo is piled and organized. He seems agitated. He seems concerned with your presence, but he's available. He has a small makeshift office space that he has converted one of the lodge's larger suites on the second floor. It has these big open air windows that look out over the lake below. It's actually a beautiful scene. It's just a crystal clear blue lake down below, surrounded by really rugged rubble, as if almost in a caldera of like an old cinder cone, with the sides of the rocky shoreline sort of sloughing and rolling, boulders kind of piling along the shoreline. And you look down through the tall pine trees, and there's a breeze blowing through, and he sits at this desk in the later part of the afternoon. Just looks like he's got himself a journal, a pile of papers. There's bookshelves. It looks as though, and there's an area off to the side where he's got a cot and a bedroll. This looks to be that he's been here for quite some time. Is there anything that you want to talk to him specifically about, or are you kind of sneaking around, keeping an eye on him, or how are you engaging?
I'm sneaking around. I kind of want to basically come up on him when he least expect it. That way he can't, you know, he least expect it, to where I can possibly get the most accurate information out of him as possible. You know, threaten him a little bit maybe to get what I want.
Yeah. So you take a look as you sneak up the stairs. Go ahead and give me let's do a stealth check, please.
All right. That is going to be a 14.
Okay. So he doesn't seem to notice you as you step into the doorway to this large room that he's standing in. He's standing at a desk. He's looking down, and he seems to be like reading some parchments and kind of shuffling things around on his desk. He doesn't seem to notice you there.
Okay, so I sneak up behind him, and, you know, I take out my dagger, and I point it at the back of his neck, and I whisper in his ear. I say, "You're gonna tell me all the information you know about this Magnus Crane person, and you're gonna tell me now."
Ooh, give me an intimidation check, please.
It'll be a long night.
That is a 16.
16. Okay. You feel him kind of tighten. His posture straightens. He kind of stands up a little bit straighter as you press the cold steel of the blade against the back of his neck. And he just sort of sets the paper that's in his hand down on the desk and just sort of slowly begins to turn to face you. He doesn't step away from you. So as he turns, the blade just sort of grazes his neck a little bit. As he turns to look at you, can you just see this little sliver of blood just start to trickle down, but he doesn't wince. He doesn't make any sort of movement. And he just looks at you and says, "Well, I got nothing to hide from you, Melantha. What's the name that you're interested in?
Magnus Crane."
What makes you think that you can threaten a man's life in his own home?
This is all I know how to do. It's worked so far. It's gotten me what I wanted.
Yeah. Well, you're still alive, and that's saying something.
Exactly.
Look, you can put the blade down.
I'd rather keep it out, just in case.
Go ahead and roll initiative.
Oh.
That is a 12.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I rolled a 17. He, as you say that, he reaches up and he grabs your wrist and twists your wrist a little bit, and there's a pressure point on your wrist that he presses on, and the dagger just sort of starts to drop, and he catches it in his other hand, and he turns it around, holding the blade, and he says, "You don't need this here, Melantha. Don't make a mistake that you can't turn back from." And he turns and he sets the blade down on the desk, and he walks over and he sits down in his chair. He says, "Yeah, I heard of Magnus Crane. I heard that name before. Where'd you get that name from?"
Where I got it is none of your concern. Just tell me what you know about him.
"Well, I know he's a bad motherfucker. I know that he's not one to mess with. I know that he's a powerful individual that nobody knows a whole lot about other than rumor. Just works along the shores of Wyestill Lake. Some sort of a necromancy or something. A lot of folks say he's got some sort of tie-in with IUs. Probably true. Maybe not. There's a lot of rumor and hearsay floating around these days with the war looming."
Well, whether it's rumor or not, information is information that will help me try to find him and get information from him. So, whether it's rumor or not, everybody talks.
But you ain't wrong there.
Information is priceless.
There's a couple of locations along the shore that, well, I've heard, we got a bit of a network. We've been trying to work some of that, the line of demarcation between Furiondi and, well, the push of IUs. Gull Keep might be a place to check. That Veng River, anywhere in there in Delaquin, the chances of finding them at any one of these places or en route between them on the waters of the lake, you'd have to be damn lucky.
Well, I'm damn good at what I do. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to find them, no problem. You don't
I imagine you are. I imagine you're good enough for old Bloodbane to hire you to do the deeds that you've done. I can't imagine he's interested in getting tangled up with someone by the name of Crane, though. Nevertheless, you'd be looking for trouble. You're on the right path.
Trouble doesn't bother me. It's the least of my worries. I just have a list, and I need to follow this list.
Well, we all got our motivations. Do me a kind favor. Don't be murdering anyone here. None of my crew, at least. I need every hand I can get. It ain't easy out here, and I can see you got skill with the blade, and, well, it's been a long time since somebody snuck up on me like that.
Well, no one crosses me, I won't have to cross them. Tell your crew that.
I will. You don't have anything to worry about. We're all loyal to Kraith, to the gang. And, well, what we've been told is to help you get back to Crockport with whatever it was you pulled off that wagon. Important enough that that we're going to give you our only skiff to head back to the city. Other than that, I don't ask too many questions. Hopefully I was able to answer some of yours. You're welcome to sit down and stay a bit. You want a drink?
No, I'm good. The information was enough. I'll be leaving now.
Suit yourself. Good day. And you
Fades back into the shadows.
You walk out. Yeah, you fade into the shadows and leave. Grabbing your dagger on the way, I'm sure, off the table.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, of course. All right, yeah. So as that's all happening, let's go to Brother Portis. Portis, is there anything that you would like to do during the day here prior to like the dinner and the evening activities?
Yes, I'm busying myself changing my costume. I take the pillows out of the upper part of the torso and I press them down into the middle to give myself a bit of a punch. And along with them, the scroll case, which I've not revealed, goes into my belly, if you will. And I change my features from a woman to a bit of an elderly man. And as I'm doing so, anyone who's nearby can watch the transformation as I change my costume. But I'm wondering what anyone knows of the interest that the steel might have in this shipment that we've procured and are hauling over to Crackpot, as I lovingly call it, of course.
There are a variety of folks that you could speak with as you come out of your as you come into, I should say, your new persona.
Oh my god. That was great.
That was awesome.
I wouldn't want to leave any evidence of a woman brandishing hammers and being unseemly, of course.
Oh, of course.
And I have nothing to hide from this crew because, of course, they know something of us and we know something of them. But there's more to be known. Why the interest in this shipment? What is the agency up to these days that Carver hasn't let me know about? I'm sure I could get it out of Carver, but I'm just passing time, of course.
Sure. Is there anyone in particular, Portis, that you're interested in talking with, or just sort of anyone who happens to be handy?
I would ultimately like to talk to Dolan, but
okay.
Whoever's handy at the moment, I don't know where the old chap went.
Okay, that sounds good. So there is the red-bearded dwarf named Red Bill. As you kind of step outside, you kind of pull your sweater on. There's a chill nip in the air as the afternoon is drawing. The sun kind of getting low and the shadows growing longer, but you can see old Red Bill, and he's got a sizable axe in his hand, and he's chopping wood, just this rhythmic sort of this chunking of wood as he sets up another block of wood and splits the wood. And he's just kind of, he looks up, nods at you.
William, is it? Do I have that correct?
Oh, Red Bill.
Bill, that's fine. I didn't want to be too informal.
Who the hell are you? As he kind of lets the axe hang to the side. Where'd you come from, old man?
Well, actually, you may have been introduced to me earlier as however, that is not my actual name. Do you like the disguise? It's me, Brother Kingford. Today I shall be...
damn!
Poultice.
Wow!
Poultice. You appreciate... I really appreciate that you appreciate my efforts here. Thank you, young Master Dwarf.
I feel a bit embarrassed. I totally thought you was a woman. And, well, I was fixing to... never mind. Hey,
I get that quite often when my costumes are successful. However, I have learned to navigate the awkwardness of it. You needn't be embarrassed. Anyway, that's besides the point. If you don't mind, I'm going to stay in this persona, as I have to sort of settle into it before, it's necessary.
Understood.
But I am curious, why the interest in such goods as were captured from this wagon? Do you know what is going on? Carver hasn't informed me recently, and I will be seeing him, of course, when we get to old Crackpot.
As you ask the question, you can see Red Bill sort of like raise an eyebrow, and then he walks back over. He sets another chunk of wood up on the chopping block, and he hoists the axe up and chunks another, just with one fell swoop is splitting wood. Pretty impressive. But he doesn't say anything, and that's when you feel a presence behind you, and it's Dolan. And he comes out and he says, "Truth of the matter is, Kingsford, we don't know all the details here. As you can imagine, there's some compartmentalization that happens in any sort of organization here. But I'll tell you what, That ore that you recovered? I know what that is.
Oh, what
Yeah.
is it? It's not something familiar to me.
You ever heard of adamantine?
Oh, rumors I have heard.
Light, hard as stone, can be
Valuable.
sharpened to a sheen more than any other steel or iron that's been worked. So they say.
I imagine
Valuable.
the Red Bill would know something of that. Do you know of this, Mr. Bill?
Old Red?
Adamantine. Sure.
Bill kind of looks up at you and says, "Nah, I ain't never heard of it." Dolan just kind of laughs. Well,
He's
Red
being
Bill
funny,
kind of,
isn't he?
yeah, he likes to play his cards close to his chest. Everybody
Oh,
here knows little bits and pieces, but like I said, not everybody knows the full picture. What I can tell you is that any opportunity that the Wretched Steel has to put a thorn in the side of the Merchants Guild out of Crockport, well, they're going to take it. And this was a, best we can tell, actually,
Oh, indeed.
based on the information that your team procured. I think it was, who was it, the broker? This was a very important shipment for the Merchants Guild.
I imagine it was, yeah.
Let's just say, the Merchants Guild and the Wretched Steel don't get along might too well.
No, I understand that. The governess, from what I hear, can be quite a difficult person to work with. No doubt has led to this tension between the two agencies.
Yeah, that and the fact that they systematically displaced a sizable portion of the Crockport Thieves Guild with whatever diabolical plans that they have. They're just as bad as anyone, that guild. Don't let them fool you. They're into some dark shit.
Yeah.
The Wretched Steel at one point was part of that Thieves Guild, but we don't take to getting pushed around like maybe some of them others did, and we decided to go it solo. And now I'll be damned if it isn't the life's motivation for our fearless leader, Kraeth, to, make it difficult for the governess. And, in the process, profit a little bit from the chaos.
Well, chaos can be a strategic move.
Indeed it can. It can be a strong motivator, too. That and, wealth, power. Things have been changing, and they're likely to continue, so.
It's a feature of the tensions, no doubt, of the this nonsense with the IUs and the impending confrontation, I imagine.
No doubt about that. No doubt at all. Tell me, Portis, where did you get so good with these disguises and such?
Well, as you pointed out yourself, it is a necessary thing for one to be able to navigate and keep the cards close to the vest, if you will. And there's no better way to do it than to not be who people think you are when it is most inopportune, such as suspicions of a woman who has been participated in a robbery, if you will, of a stagecoach somewhere in this area. It would be very beneficial for me not to be here in that guise. So today I am someone else.
And who might you be today?
I am Poultice. I am clerical recorder out of the city of Veluna.
Ooh, we're not being audited or nothing, are we?
Oh, no, I hope not, because I don't think I could stand up to something so rigid as that. No, just the record keeper, wishing to travel to Crockport for the obtaining of some old records that need to go back.
Very well done, Poultice. One thing you said, though, concerns me just a smidge.
Oh.
Your need to disguise yourself, change your visage after what happened down in the valley yesterday. You didn't leave any survivors, did you? You were told not to.
Where have my companions gone? Have you seen them recently? I seem to have lost track of them.
They're doing just fine, Poultice. Don't get squirrely on me now. We've got, how shall we say it, a working relationship that seems to be on the right track. Now, I'm not one to tattletale and spread information that don't need to be spreading. But I do have a curiosity.
I think that's a viable question, and I think Grukka may have seen something. Could perhaps verify if one of those scoundrels did squirrel off. You know, there were many things going on, and I managed to take one of them right down myself, dead as a doornail.
I don't doubt it. Well, you did mention when you arrived that you thought you were being followed.
That was a serious concern, yes.
Yeah, I've got a couple of my good folk out there keeping an eye. If anybody did, say, get away with their lives still intact, let's just hope they don't go talking. Because while you may be an exquisite disguise master, that hobgoblin friend of yours and that dagger-wielding shadow, if they got made, could lead to some challenges for you in the future, that's all. And I don't want any of that spilling back on me, if you know what I mean.
That is something I understand very well. In fact, if you wish some pointers of disguise, I could perhaps give you some advice.
I like to keep my identity in the shadows with the use of my blade. Fewer eyes, if you know what I mean.
Exactly, I do.
He taps the patch that's over his eye.
Very nice, very nice. I'll have to remember that. I'm now learning. I'm learning tricks. Very clever, yeah.
Every day. Keep learning. Ain't that right, Red Bill? Oh, yeah, fucking keep on learning. That's what he always says. And then he just chunks another log on the chopping block.
Very good at that.
You watch as Dolan pulls out a pipe and packs it, and he has a pouch of some sort of a tobacco-like blend that he's packing into it, and he sort of like offers some to you. You smoke?
Oh, certainly, if you don't mind. I don't seem to have a pipe, however.
Before you even finish saying it, he's got a second pipe that he holds out, hands it to you.
Fantastic. Marvelous. Yep.
And then he just gestures over to a bench. And he walks over and sits down and strikes his tinder and his flint and steel and gets the tinder blazing, and he lights his pipe and lights yours.
There you go. I'll puff away. Oh, you managed to procure a nice blend all the way out here.
Yeah, this here blend came all the way up from Chendal. I got friends. Do a bit of import, export, that kind of thing.
Do they sell it on the market?
Depends which market you're talking about, but
yeah. Good.
You can find it in Crockport.
Oh, it has a bit of a headiness to it.
Indeed, it does. You ever been down to what's the name of that smoke shop down there in Crockport? Oh, Puff Daddy's.
Oh yeah, I have seen it. Yes, I don't. I haven't. I will have to stop by. I'll puff again.
It's a very nice blend, very fruity. It does kind of give you a little bit of an elevated vibe.
Just sit here with the lake and the vista. Is that a cinder cone lake?
Indeed it is. Best we can tell, this used to be an old, an old volcanic caldera of some kind, but I'm not a geologist.
No.
Oof.
Me either. However, but how long has the hunting lodge been in your possession?
I've been here on and off for the last 10 years.
And there's been no disturbance, no ne'er-do-wells milling about, trying to find out who owns this this establishment or is keeping it. The hunters who come through here, perhaps in the fall or early winter, don't disturb the place.
Yeah, there's some of the older folk who used to hunt up in these parts that'll still come by. Some of their children's and their children's children that have history with this area, but nobody pokes around here. There's plenty of indications that folks aren't too welcome. Not the least of which is old Red Bill there.
You make quite a signpost, young man.
Yeah, thank you.
It's the red beard. Oh, and the axe.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the whole thing. Who am I kidding? You don't need a disguise. You're a whole presence among, in and of yourself.
It's funny that you ask, but we have had one or two times, wasn't it, old Bill, like just last year maybe, we had some of the Callinston Rangers showed up poking around. No, they should have brought more. And they never saw us coming. I'll tell you what, there's a lot you can hide in that Lake Erstin. It's deep. Real deep. You cross the wretched steel gang out here in the wilds, and you're liable to end up at the bottom of that lake.
Well, that's not the place I intend to end my trip. I can tell you that.
Indeed. He just kind of sits back and sort of crosses his legs, and old Red Bill eventually puts down the axe and comes over and fires up a pipe as well, and the three of you just sit there for a while, puffing away and having a little bit more small talk now as the afternoon winds down a little bit. Is there anything else that Brother Portis would want to try to ascertain or inquire about with these two fellas?
Well, initially I did. I was hoping to get more information about individual parts of the cargo, but I have a feeling that it's being held close to the vest by the lieutenant, who I definitely need to make contact with in Crockport.
Yeah, you learn, some of that similar information about the quality of the steel, the ingots being adamantine, the fact that there was some magical items of note that were on some sort of a bill of lading that they were able to steal from one of the guild members a couple days before this whole heist was set in motion. He does mention to you that the swords are magical, as best that he can tell, and that they will fetch a high value for whatever the wretched steel decides that they want to do with them. But mostly you get the sense that the mission, after gathering the information that your team did and fleshing out some of the details, was really just to mess with the Crockport Guild, the Merchants Guild, because of the almost like a turf battle that's being waged between the Merchants Guild and what the remnants of this Thieves Guild that's now sort of falling apart in Crockport because of all of the. You get the sense that there are a lot of forces coming to this area because of the growing tensions in the war, and there's a bit of war profiteering that's being like vultures circling over a gut pile.
So more of a value grab in an internal fight than it is greasing the wheels of a larger war machine.
Right. Yeah, they're trying to take advantage of whatever the good King Belver has up his sleeve in terms of strengthening the northern defenses of Furiandi against the growing threat of the legions from the Horn Society to the east, and of course Ayuz and the death from the north. Seems to be as though this is going to be a hot spot, and everybody kind of knows that. So there's kind of a power grab and some brokering of resources. So
Okay.
let's move over to Philomena. Philomena, what would you want to get up to in this this day that you have before the evening festivities?
So, after having enjoyed some very delicious stew that she was completely surprised by the quality and had a great time, probably threw some compliments to the cook, realized just how not up to par the cleanliness of the area was. So she'd probably go around real quick and prestidigitate a couple of things up, just make it a little cleaner, a little nicer. Because it doesn't look like anyone's done that in a little bit, and she's got the time, so why not, give him a little treat. But after she's kind of gone through and done that, she would head out to try and find Zelavan.
Sure, and actually it's Zelavan who finds you as you are cleaning up in the main hall. You kind of feel her presence before you see her, and you kind of turn around and she's just sitting on the table with one foot up on the bench. What are you doing? Cleaning up for us? You are guests.
Just a little bit. I thought you all were pretty busy, maintaining this area, so I might as well offer a little bit of help.
You are very kind to do such things.
Truly, it's for selfish reasons. If I'm going to be staying the night here, might as well have it look nice,
I suppose so. Make it a little bit more like home.
Sure.
Wherever that is. Where is your home, Philomena? Where do you come from, and how did you end up with this group?
Well, I come from Crockport. I used to work in the Merchant Guild until the governess blacklisted me out of nowhere for no reason, and I wasn't welcome anywhere. So Philomena decided to turn to a life of crime. Basically, I'm just trying to get my revenge.
How is this life of crime treating you so far, Philomena?
Not too bad. A little more bloody than I think I would like, personally. I haven't been sent on too many missions. A lot of it's just intel work or sneaking in and grabbing something, but not sneaking as in like walking quietly, more so disguising myself. But this is kind of the first outing that I've had. Wasn't too prepared for what would happen, but we cope and we live, and
that we do.
I know that this is gonna backfire on the governess somehow, so that's currently what I'm holding out for hope on.
Well, I have been told by my father long ago that there's the thing about hope, you can hope in one hand and you can shit in the other and see which one fills up first. But it is cute that you still harbor such hope. Come, leave this now. She looks at it. She takes the rag out of your hand, not forcefully, but she just pulls it out of your hand and sets it down on the table. Let's get some fresh air. Come on now. The night is drawing upon us, and there's a beautiful, let me show you the forest here. It is wonderful. Come with me.
If you so insist. She will.
She leads you out one of the doors and into this beautiful gallery of pine forest, and you can just smell the pine and the soft footfall of all of the duff and pine needles that fall on the ground, sort of an orange pathway for you through this beautiful forest. And she's just kind of walking next to you, and she says, "You harbor such anger for this governess. Don't you fear that at some point it will devour you from inside, that it will drive you to do things that you're not prepared to do?"
If it'll take her down, I'm prepared to do anything.
Anything, you say? Anything. There are things that we do in the heat of the moment, whether that's passion or revenge, or there are things that we do that we cannot come back from, Philomena. You seem... Don't take this the wrong way, please. You seem like a good person. Easy to talk to. I haven't had a conversation like this in quite some time, to be fair. These men are strong and gruff and dangerous, but conversationalists they are not. Don't you fear that this will change you?
You know this by experience?
I do. I have done things that I will pay for when my time comes, when my life is taken, and it will be taken. For there are many out there who would like to take the life of Zelavan, I assure you. I have done things that I am not proud of, but I have done them with the strongest of convictions, feeling justified in what I have done for a bigger cause. But when I look back upon my life and I see the damage that I have brought, the lives that I have taken, I can't help but wonder if I could have made a different choice. Probably not. I am a born killer, but I like to wonder.
What good has wondering got you but regret?
It is the price that I guess I will pay for the things that I have done. A reminder that taking a life is easy, but dealing with the aftermath, not always as much. I feel like you are on that cusp, that precipice of decisions, and, well, I guess I'm just curious to see what drives you. I see
Here's the thing,
myself
Miss
a
Vaughn.
bit in you.
I don't want the governess to die. I want her to suffer the way she made me suffer. Lose everything. Lose everything she's built up over these years. Watch it crumble right in front of her. Have the rug slipped out from under her like she slipped it out from under me. I don't have to kill anybody to get that. I hope I don't have to, at least. Now,
There's
whether
that hope again.
I kill someone with my own hands or I watch someone else do it, I guess I don't know if there's much of a difference.
No, there's not. That death will still be on your conscience. But I will tell you something, and she kind of steps closer to you. Not in a threatening way, but just sort of like in a little bit of an assertiveness to her, and she sort of like reaches down and grabs both your hands in her hands as she's kind of facing you, and she says, "When you make the decision to continue to go beyond the point of return, just do me a favor and don't look back. Don't look back and don't carry the weight of guilt. Do it for the right reasons if you intend to. Reach out and take that revenge, but be ready to live with the consequences of your actions. Every action leads to another. I feel like you will make the right decisions. And when you do, don't look back. Just make the decision." And with that, she kind of reaches in and she just kisses you on the cheek.
I think Philomena is very taken aback by the physical contact of holding her hands being held. And that kind of vulnerability that is being shown, the gentleness that she has not seen in what feels like a very long time, that she like pulls away from it after the kiss. Like it kind of like snaps her back to reality and she pulls away. I'll do what needs to be done. Thank you, Miss Vaughn. I should get back.
Please
It's
call me.
beautiful out here.
Call me Zella.
Haven't-
And she turns and
Thank
she
you.
starts. She just kind of gestures for you to come with her. And she leads you back towards the lodge. Dinner will be ready shortly. Thank you for the talk, Philomena.
Anytime, so really. It's, as you said, rare to have such conversations.
She guides you back to the lodge, and she sort of, gives you a nice little nod and maybe like squeezes your shoulder, and then she sort of goes off to do her thing. As you are sort of left to stand back in the lodge, you can see that there is this massive orc who has facial tattoos, and he has this sort of like white apron on, and he is working the hearth, and you can smell food is beginning to be cooked, and he is readying the dinner, as it were. Let me ask you this before we move on to Grukka. Is there anything else that Philomena would want to try to do in this time that she has?
I think her initial want to go talk to Zella was to gain information, but she's like, having been left there to think about that interaction, realized that she gave up way more than she got in terms of information. She got some valuable advice. But I think she's kind of been put in this contemplative place that she's probably going to go to whatever room or bed that has been set up and just think for a little bit before dinner.
Okay.
And she'll sit and take out the necklace that she has. And I think she'll take it off for a moment and just look at it and run her thumb over the gemstone that looks kind of like an eye. And just think.
You feel a warmth that emanates from this amulet that you hold in your hand. Not like a hot, but a warmth. More so than just it being against your skin on a warm, sunlit afternoon. More of a dull heat that emanates from it. Brings you maybe a little bit of sense of, I don't know, a sense of something or someone sort of keeping an eye on you, as it were.
It's
Someone else there. Yeah, it's comforting. Okay. Well, while that's all taking place, let's jump over to Grukka Sharpe. Grukka, is there anything that you would want to do here as you have time here in the afternoon on this day?
Yeah, Grukka's going to look for a decent bottle of brandy or, something good, whatever the highest end he could find here. Maybe he'll ask around and say, look, had a rough night, looking for a good bottle just to go sit and sip for a while. And then once he finds the bottle, he's gonna head down to the lake shore, find a spot that's out of view of, anybody, even, in the building.
Yeah. Yeah, you can readily talk to the orc who's cooking, Ruck. His name's Ruck Grail. He's got facial tattoos, big stoic guy cooking the dinner, but yeah, he just kind of nods. He doesn't really say much, and he just kind of points over to a cabinet, and you open the cabinet, and there's all kinds of, and you could tell like these have probably been stolen from all over the place, but there's all kinds of brandies and other spirits in there. So you grab one that you may or may not have heard of, I don't know, but
yeah, I just grab a good brandy that looks, my limited intelligence. If it's fancy looking, it's got to be good.
Exactly. You
So he's gonna
you
grab
then
that bottle. He's
yeah,
just
you
kind of
grab the bottle.
avoiding- I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, yeah, go ahead. He's avoiding what?
He knows that that Zachar cracked tooth this year, and he's going to try to just head down to the lake without kind of like making eye contact or anything, and head down to the lake. He's no sneak, but he's gonna go down by the water,
Okay.
watch the sun go down. He knows dinner's coming, so he's starving, but he wants a good drink first. So he goes down. I'm not sure. There's a rocky area, place he can sit. Go ahead.
Yeah, the terrain is pretty rugged as you sort of scramble down this almost like scree slope that leads down to this just beautifully blue, crystalline blue waters. And you kind of have to boulder hop a little bit and scramble down a couple times, like jumping from boulder to boulder as you move down there. You're thinking about this individual, Zakar, who actually isn't in this particular location, but someone that from your past that you have a connection to. That maybe brings you a sense of ire or a sense of anger, whatever it might be, and in sort of connecting that with the violent events that happened the previous day with the stagecoach robbery that occurred. You make your way down to a flat rock that sets right on the lakeshore. The blue waters just sort of splashing gently, rhythmically, and just peacefully against the shoreline. It's the juxtaposition of the rage and the violence, the blood. I envision Grukka just kind of looking down and still seeing like blood underneath his fingernails, for example, while he's drinking from this bottle, and the juxtaposition of this beautiful, harmonious, serene landscape and the rage and violence that this Grukka is capable of. And as you sit there, there are a flock of squawking blue jays that fly by and land in one of the pine trees along the shoreline, and they're chattering and chittering, and then they go silent and they flush and fly off, and you watch them fly off across the lake, sort of the reflection of the birds, the blue of their wings as they're flying low over the lake, and then they kind of disappear as they take distance from you. And you hear from behind you some rocks start to roll a little bit, just a couple of small rocks, like someone's coming from up behind you. You turn around and you see this diminutive little goblin fellow with kind of patchy hair. You remember him from earlier. He's the one that they referred to as Ghost. And he like hops up on a rock and sits cross-legged, maybe like 10 feet away from you. And he looks over at you and he says, "Look, Sharpe. I never thought that I'd see you in these parts with these folk."
Yeah, what about it, Ghost?
Well, I figured you'd be long dead by now with the shit that you pulled.
I pulled?
Yeah, the shit you pulled. You think I ain't talked to Zakar? You think he's been talking? Nah, he runs his mouth. He's got stories about you, about what happened 3 years ago.
My eye starts to twitch a little. I'm like, what about
There it
that?
is.
What about that?
He stands up and kind of like hops a couple of rocks towards you, and he like reaches down as if to like wanting the bottle, like if you hand him the bottle to take a pull from it.
I look at him, kind of size him up. Without even I'm not worried about this little guy. I sit down, kind of cross-legged. My sword's, my sword's kind of chink. It hits the rock, and I kind of go, ah. I pull the sword out. I kind of lay it across my knees. The pommel, I'm left-handed, the pommel to my left. He's kind of off to my right a little bit. And I look at it, I kind of get a heavy sigh, and I say, what happened 3 years ago? Yeah, it was terrible. But you gotta stop listening to lies from orcs. I go,
Maybe
tell
so.
you what, you're looking a little thirsty. And I hand him the bottle. I go,
He takes the bottle from you. He grabs the bottle from you. He's kind of like standing next to you, and he
You gonna shove
pops the
back?
cork off, and he's kind of like looking out over the lake, and he takes a big pull off the bottle.
As he takes a pull and he leans back, I take this my great sword and I just shove it right through his neck. As he goes back like that, I just go right through.
The booze just keeps flowing out onto his face and down as your blade comes through his neck, blood dripping down.
I pushed it all the way to the hilt, and I look him right in his face, and I watch as his eyes go wide as he dies, and I say, "You know nothing."
And he just slumps to the ground, bleeding out on the rock in front of you. The bottle drops and shatters.
I just pull my sword out. I take this little fuck. I kind of start spinning around, and I toss him as far as I can into the lake.
Splash.
Then I sit down. His blood's off right there. And I start breathing a little heavy. I pull out that finger out of my pouch. I take the white thread and I dip it in Goblin's blood. And I start stitching another line to the finger. And I start talking to myself. And I say, "Hey, Don, my voice has changed. My voice is suddenly a little more airy, a little higher." And it's like, "Hey, Don, I really miss you, Dad. I really wish the events that happened didn't happen." "You know what you did." "I didn't do anything. It was the thief." "You know who did this." "I don't know what you're talking about." "You made me do it." "I did nothing. I loved that man. He had a caring hand. He beat you. He taught me things. You were his experiment. You were a social experiment. He wanted to see if he could turn a hobgoblin into a man. You're not a man. You're a beast." I continue stitching that red line. Now there's like seven stitches going across. And I kind of look down. My tunic is all covered in the goblin's blood. I'm not wearing any chainmail. That's all upstairs in my room. And I pull my tunic off, and on my back you can see whip marks. And I'm stitching the stitches in the pattern of the whip marks on my back. And I am still, and I just, in that light voice again, I just say, "I wanted to be a good man." And "You are no man. You are a beast to be put down." And I clean my shirt in the water. I watch the goblin's body kind of floating away. And I stand up and I head back up to the lodge.
Yeah, as you stand up, you see the body of the ghost just sort of start to fill with water and start to sink below the surface as it disappears into the blue waters. And those blue jays, this small flock of blue jays, comes back squawking as it comes over and lands in the tree above you. As you turn and look up, turn back down, take one last look at the body as it disappears, and you head back up to the lodge. And I think that, my friends, is where we're going to take a quick break as we have started to reveal some of the intensity of some of our characters here in the first half of tonight's session. Great role play, you guys, and very surprising stuff happening. Thank you all for hanging out with us. We will be back in just a couple of short minutes, you guys. Hell yeah.
What the fuck?
This is the Outlaws of Greyhawk, y'all. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Outlaws of Greyhawk. If you missed the first half of tonight's game, damn, go back and watch it because it was pretty awesome. Some awesome role play from these fantastic players, some surprises, some tender moments, some dark moments, and some fun, silly pipe smoking moments in there too. Just for good measure. We kind of covered all of our bases, and you guys are fantastic. So I would like to give you each a point of inspiration on your because of all the great role play. This is different than advantages. You can use inspiration after the roll is made. Like if you roll for something and you don't like the result, you can say, hey, I'm going to use my inspiration point. And then of course it's gone, but you can use it to re-roll, taking the result of the second roll. Advantages are the ones that you say ahead of time. I'm going to roll with advantage because I really want to make sure I succeed. So, and just as a reminder to folks who are hanging out in the chat, if you want to have an impact on the game, you can cheer bits, and those bits you can grant for 100 bits advantage to one of the players of your choice or your dungeon master, of course. So there's that. And shout out to Bob, the Gnarly's Magic fan. Wow, the Magic fan is in the house. Bob, great to see you. Had a blast playing with you in Armin's game, and it's cool to see you in the chat. So welcome to the guild. We'll have to get you a link to the. Oh, actually, I have a link to the Discord here. You should join the Discord and come and hang out with us. There's a lot of goofy, fun stuff going on in there. Okay, so as just a slight little recap here, our outlaws have spent the majority of the day as they arrived at the Lake Erstin hideout of the Wretched Steel Gang, a gang that they are currently working for, having robbed a stagecoach that was headed towards Crockport with a cargo of high value, a cargo that was being shipped by the Crockport Merchants Guild, who some of our outlaws have some substantial grudges against. They have successfully stolen the loot, as it were, and in the process pretty much eliminated all of the mercenaries who were escorting said loot, with the exception of 2 that you allowed to escape. They certainly would not have escaped on their own recognizance, which has caused a little bit of concern with this gang's lieutenant here at Lake Erstin, Deadeye Dolan, but nevertheless, you have had a chance to spend some time. Some of you making friends, some of you gathering intel through persuasion, some through intimidation, and there was even a good old-fashioned murder that took place on the shores of Lake Erstin. In all of these cases, our outlaws have shown to us aspects of themselves, whether they're true aspects or subterfuge or the raw emotion. I guess we'll find out as we continue this story. So as the evening sets in, you have an opportunity to talk with each other and with the group here at the Lake Erstin hideout, as folks are starting to shuffle in to a grand hall of this hunting lodge where food has been prepared. There is quite a spread. There's a warm glow of oil lamps that flickers softly against the rough-hewn walls of this old hunting lodge. And if you recall, there are mounts of bear and elk and all kinds of game. Of course, these mounts are old, some of them falling apart, covered in dust. But it is definitely that scene of a feast in this grand hall, once a grand hall, I should say. The sturdy dinner table is probably oak. It's laid heavy with the evening's meal. The air is rich with the smell of roasted elk as the gang's chef, this large orcish man with tattoos named Rook Grail, carves the tender meat with careful precision from this roast. And he's not like a sawbone, like this guy is he's an artist with the blade, and it kind of, in his weathered hands, he's steady as stone, moving with surprising precision. You kind of wonder in your mind, what other things has he done with that knife blade? Around the table, there's the spread of, it's fairly simple but hearty. Roasted root vegetables pulled from this small garden that the gang tends to supplement their foraging and hunting. The vegetables glistening with herbs and salt. There's fresh salad of bitter greens and foraged dandelion heads and blackberries that were gathered from the forest. kind of a sharp contrast, dressed a little bit with some sort of a nice vinaigrette or an oil. Loaves of dark bread, crusty, warm, sitting at the center alongside small dishes of garlic and sage butter. This is a pretty damn good meal, something that maybe a number of you have not had in some time. There's this large pot of elk bone stew simmering nearby, thick with barley and marrow, and it's got this sort of earthly scent that mingles with the cool air that's drifting in through the cracked shutters on this building, sort of like open air to some extent with the shutters somewhat open. You can hear just barely the sound of the lake lapping against the shoreline in the distance. And as you gather around the table, you can or file into the room, we'll say, because I think some of you want to maybe do some things before you sit down at the table or wherever you take your meal. You get the sense of family. Like it's almost like a family meal. It's like there's this camaraderie that sinks in as one by one mugs are filled with wine. There's even a bit of music that begins to play. One of the gang members striking up a little bit of a tune to accompany this meal. Dolan greets you as you come in and sort of like gestures towards the table. Now, I will say that as you enter into the scene with the fire crackling, there's a brief moment here where if there's any conversations that you would like to have with each other before joining the group, you could do that if that's of interest to you. I think there's some interest in maybe that happening. So please go right ahead, Ktyria, Philiomena.
As Philiomena kind of steps into the space and takes in all of the smells and the feeling of that familial feeling, there is a kind of flip to her stomach as she remembers the nights that her and her mother would sit down at their table with a meal that they prepared together and engage in conversation about what their week had been like or day had been like. And I think she feels a bit sick to her stomach having that reminder sprung upon her after so quickly talking to Sela that she sees Mel. What is Mel doing right now?
Mel's kind of like standing, a little bit back from the group, like, arms folded, kind of at like a wide stance, just looking, listening, just not talking. She doesn't do small talk. But yeah, she's just standing back, observing.
I think that's exactly where she wants to be in this moment as well. And so she kind of slides next to you, kind of takes up a similar stance of hugging her poncho-like cloak to her as she whispers to you. I spoke to Zella earlier, and she said some interesting things. And I guess I was wondering, we're a bit similar in our goals. And I think one of the only differences is you've been in this a bit longer than I have.
Been in what
longer? Crime, killing. I guess I'm just wondering, what was the first time for you like?
Wow. It seems so long ago when I first killed. Almost feels like yesterday. Let's see. What was it again? Oh, that's right. I ended up the first name that popped up in my brother's journal. I walked through town, ended up finding information. It was so long ago, I can't even remember his name. He's nobody now, he's dead. Who cares? Ended up being able to go through town, getting some information on him. Saw him stumbling, drunk, out of a bar. And I thought to myself, this was too easy. So of course I caught him, dragged him into an alley. Of course held him at dagger to his neck. Because I knew it was the best intimidation tactic. Works on everybody. And basically, got what I wanted out of him, but I could feel he was withholding something from me, and I didn't appreciate that. But he wasn't going to tell me, no matter how much I intimidated him. So, I gave him one last shot, one more chance to tell me exactly what he knew. And he didn't want to fess up. So I just stabbed him right in the throat. And that was that. I moved on. I had already seen death. Death didn't scare me, whether I was, doing the dealing or was a part of the death myself. Death is natural. So
Grukka's right behind too. Grukka's there listening.
Oh no!
But yeah, death comes easy the more you do it, or at least in my situation. I don't feel anything anymore when it comes to having to end someone's life. So when you get the first one done out of the way, it'll all come easier after that.
Grukka just kind of
Right.
cocks his head at Mel, looks at Philomena, and says,
Or she jumps.
His hair's a little more combed now. He actually looks somewhat presentable. And he says, Philomena, if you keep asking what it's like, you'll never get the nerve to do it. Sometimes you just have to go and do it.
I like how Grukka thinks. He knows what he's
Right.
talking about.
But anyways, let's go eat. Where's... I'm looking around. I don't see,
Portis.
yeah, I don't see Portia anywhere. I'm looking around for Portia because I've been down by the lake. And I'm looking past this old man.
So you're looking around, Grukka, seeking out the woman that you'd been traveling with. As you kind of walk off to look around, you leave Philomena and Mel there for a moment, sort of silent in the explanation of Mel's perspective on the murdering.
But Mel does have a question for Philomena. She asked, why do you ask? You plan on killing anybody anytime soon?
No. You all do that just fine. I was just coming off of a different kind of conversation, I guess, and wanted to know another perspective. And you gave me that, and I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Oh, anytime I can talk about my past kills, I'd be more than happy to divulge.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm gonna go sit down. Thank you. And she walks off.
All right. So eventually, I imagine Poultice joins the group, and Mel, as you're sitting there, Dolan walks up as the rest of the group is sort of sitting down, and they're sort of like grabbing food and passing plates and that sort of thing. He walks over with a plate of food, and he just kind of sets it on the table next to you. Says, don't expect you to join the group, but you're always welcome. Here's some food for you. And he just kind of looks at you for a second before beginning to turn and walk away.
So she looks at the plate, and she looks back up and notices that he's walking away. She goes, you know me a little too well, but I guess I appreciate it.
He just kind of looks over his shoulder and nods and walks back to the main table where the festivities are taking place. Poultice, are you here, or what's Poultice doing at this moment?
He's
I'm
hungry.
talking to I'm so hungry. Is anybody else as hungry as I am? Because can you tell how hungry I am? And I'm just talking to whoever's there. And I noticed Grukka walk past me, and so I take my food around, and then I follow Grukka and sit down next to Grukka. And I'm standing a little too tall for my appearance, and I sit down. Anyway, hi. I don't remember how your day was. How was your day today? Are you as hungry as I am?
Grukka's just Grukka's always hungry. Grukka's looking at Portis, and he's kind of.
You don't recognize me.
You smell familiar.
It's me. It's Portis.
But
I have on a totally different looking costume.
You looked good.
Oh.
Thank you. But
I slide like a.
Wait. Oh, what?
Right. I just slide my plate right in front of him. It's probably got like a piled high with like everything.
And I'm just using my fingers. I hope you don't mind if I just help myself. Can you tell who I am? Can you tell by looking at me?
I had no idea.
I am an old man.
We'll bring back the young lady.
No. Not tonight. Especially not now. Is that wine in the goblet? I don't drink wine. It dulls the senses. I don't partake in things like that at all because it's so risky. Oh, this is so good. This is so good.
Red Bill's sitting next to you on the other side, Poultice, and he's like, we got spring water too. And he reaches over and grabs this big a clay pitcher and pours a big mug, and it just sort of overflows onto the table. And he sort of like snaps out of his pouring daze and sets it back down with a clang.
Thank you, Red Bill. Grukka, this is my friend, Red Bill.
Red Bill's a dwarf, right?
Yeah, damn right I'm a dwarf.
Oh, I was asking. It's very good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
You got dwarves, you got orcs.
Yeah.
Comfortable here.
It's so comfortable here. I have not been this comfortable in quite a long time. Certainly not on the road. The road over on the... Your wagon was a nice wagon. I'm sorry that it got broken.
It's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry I broke it. But this is so much more comfortable. I am so hungry. I'm sorry. Like, pardon me. Do you mind if and I'll just eat.
Grukka can probably smell what, that smell.
Tobacco.
So Grukka's enjoying this because Grukka knows, and he's just like literally like I like reach over, I grab somebody else's plate and I put it in front of them.
There's so much food.
There's plenty of food to sate your appetite as large cuts of elk roast are being placed on your plates. There's potatoes that have been roasted that are being doled out, more wine and water, all kinds of vegetables. I mean, it's essentially a cornucopia. It would be something that you might envision being placed before, like the Baron of Callenstrin or something like that, just a wonderful meal, the music playing in the background. And you can hear all kinds of conversations taking place around the table, mostly, people giving each other gruff, people sort of taking jabs at each other, talking about the day, talking about old missions that they'd been on, either together with other gangs and that sort of thing. A lot of stories being told as the wine is being poured. You hear Grukka, you probably are the one who takes notice of it, but you hear Lem, the small halfling fellow with the broken, crooked nose. He just kind of like, at some point, it's almost like he just realizes, he's like, anybody know where Ghost is? I ain't seen him all evening. And Dolan kind of looks around and says, well, come to think of it, I ain't seen him for a bit neither. Well, Ghost, he's probably out skulking about in the shadows, as he does. Son of a bitch. There'll be plenty of food left over for him when he gets back. Don't you worry, Lem. Yeah, I'm not worried about the bastard. I just don't want him sneaking up behind me. You know what I mean?
Speaking of guild members, Philomena's going to stand and kind of clink her drink on the table and raise it. To all of you for your wonderful contribution in welcoming us in such a warm way. I truly never thought that I would ever feel so welcome in a, let's just say, desolate place such as this. It's a bit new to me. So I wanted to thank you all for this wonderful meal. I'll point over to Rook, who had prepared it, for this wonderful place and for this just camaraderie that we all got going on here.
If an orc can blush, he blushes with the mention. He kind of like tries to get as small as he can in his seat as the music stops and you make this toast. And Dolan kind of stands up with his glass, his mug of wine, and says, "Hear, hear to the wretched steel gang!" And everybody's like, "Huzzah!" And they down their drinks and the music fires up again. As you feel like you are adding to sort of this camaraderie that's building here. And at some point, you hear Lem again, and he kind of turns to you, Philomena. And on one side you've got Lem as you're sitting at this table, and the other side you've got Zella is sitting there, and she's been kind of quiet. She's kind of back into her like what kind of hard exterior, that this facade that she puts on, maybe it's the real her, but she's very different than the experience that you had with her, having sort of a one-on-one conversation. But nevertheless, Lem kind of turns, and you can tell he's had, a little bit too much to drink, halflings, right? And he kind of looks over and he says, "Ain't it true, Philomena, that you, used to work for that there Merchants Guild?"
Information flies, doesn't it? And I'll look over to Zella and then turn back and say, I indeed do. Used
And
to. Not anymore.
Ain't it true as well that you're the one that brought in the information about the cargo transport?
That would also indeed be true.
And ain't it true then, by way of reasoning, that you betrayed that there Merchants Guild that you used to work for?
I'll get leaning close to him. 100%.
Well then what the hell's stopping you from betraying the lot of us then? That's what I'm fixing to find out. He kind of gives you a glare, and Zella kind of stands up and says, "You shut your mouth, Lem." And he's like, "Well, I guess I got under somebody's skin, didn't I? Just a simple question, Philomena."
I understand the question, and it's all right, Zella. I'm not offended. Yes, that is all indeed true. But I will give you this. Did you blacklist me? Did this group blacklist me from every single place that I could ever know in Crockport, the place that I grew up, to the point where people wouldn't talk to me?
Look at me,
acknowledge that I'm there?
As far as I know, we sure did not.
Then you got nothing to worry your sweet little head about.
He looks at you.
I'm just gonna lean into Portis and say, "I thought we were about to have a little fun."
I don't really want the interruption. This water is even very good.
It is good, actually. It's really good with the little whiskey in it too.
Philomena, give me a persuasion check.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah. Mel has stopped eating and drinking. She's kind of like playing around with her food, overhearing the conversation in the corner. Just, basically trying to ready herself in case, shit.
So that's a 12. However, as I'm saying this, there's going to be a slight glow beneath the cloak that she wears, and I'm going to add a D4 to this with my talisman.
Okay, very cool. Is the glow visible?
I say it's a little bit. Like if you're looking at her, you might notice that there's something that happens there.
Okay, so go ahead and add
15.
that. 15 total. Okay.
15 total.
Oh yeah. He kind of looks at you kind of with a hard stare, and then he kind of just one corner of his mouth kind of cracks a little smile. It's the corner of the mouth that kind of links up with the broken, twisted nose, so it almost looks like they're touching each other. And he goes, "Yeah, I reckon we're gonna be quick friends, you and I." And he reaches over and He grabs the wine pitcher and pours you another glass of wine. And then he leans in a little bit, and Zella's you can see Zella's watching very closely on Lem. And he kind of leans in and he says, that there jewel around your neck, I couldn't help but notice a little sparkle. Tell me if you don't mind, and sorry if I'm prying a little bit.
A little.
Where'd you get that thing? It sure looks special.
It is. It's very special to me. And I'd say that that's for me to know and for you to hopefully never find out.
Fair enough. He kind of looks over. He's like, I
appreciate you asking, though.
I got something a little special around my neck, too. And he reaches up and he unbuttons the top couple buttons of this shirt. And as he
She
pulls,
gets a little nervous about what's about
as
to
he
happen.
pulls open the shirt, you can see that he has a massive scar all the way around his neck. And he's like, maybe I'll tell you about it someday.
I'm down to trade story for story.
So that conversation is happening off to one side. And then, Mel, you're kind of sitting off by yourself, off on the side, sort of observing everything, correct? That's kind of what I was interpreting a little bit there. And you watch as this kind of tall, lanky, elven fellow who's really hasn't said much, but you can see he's missing one of his ears. Like like he's just got a scar over the left side of his head where his left ear would be. And he just kind of walks over and sits down in a chair next to you as he has a glass of whatever he's drinking, wine in a mug. He doesn't look at you. He just kind of sits back and says, it's quite the group, this one. I've been here for all about a year now and still don't feel like I know any of these bastards very well. I can't believe they sent me all the way out here. Tell me, do you have any news from Crockport? Never looks at you. He's just kind of staring at the group.
What type of news are you trying to get?
Specifically anything related to, well, what I've been hearing is that there's quite a bit of activity going on in the shipyards. I've got a brother that works down there, just wondering if it's true that there's warships being assembled and outfitted.
Isn't there always shit going down in the shipyard?
Yeah, that's a good point. There's always shit going down in the shipyard. Sometimes I worry about my brother getting wrapped up in something that he doesn't understand is all. Tell me, I couldn't help notice that book that you keep digging into. I'm just kind of curious. What you reading?
Not reading.
Was it a journal or something?
It was a journal.
So you're a writer.
You can say that.
What kind of stories do you like to pen?
Oh. These stories aren't for telling. Unless you're in it.
Fair enough. I won't pry. I'm not one to dig too deep into someone else's business. Whatever kind of secrets you got stored in there, they must weigh heavily on you. I've seen you look at that book 3 times since you sat down. And you're like, you don't even really remember looking at the book, Mel. But why would he lie?
Well, in here, it's priceless. It's my whole life. If I look at it more than once, it's basically keeping me on track of what I have to do.
Kind of like a daily affirmation or something. I was told once by my therapist that I should start every day by writing down things that I'm thankful for, you know, give myself a little bit of a intention for the day. And I don't know, I did it for like 2-3 weeks and then it kind of fell to the wayside, but I don't know. Maybe I ought to pick it back up again.
So So when she hears him say intention, she goes, "Oh yeah, what's in here gives me lots of intention for the day, each and every day."
Well, I'll tell you what. Compared to the rest of them in this room, you seem to be pretty well balanced. Must be working.
It's, I guess you could say, keeping my head straight on the narrow path, not, swerving from what I gotta do. But you were asking about this brother of yours?
Yeah, Jameson. Works down in the shipyard. Like, I know you're heading back to Crockport tomorrow, and boy, if I wouldn't be grateful if you wouldn't maybe stop by. Jameson Longton. Look him up, maybe just tell him that you ran into his brother.
You got a description, or am I supposed to know who this is?
He works down at the Pier B warehouse. Tall guy, looks like me, except he's got both ears.
Yeah, shouldn't be too hard to find.
Well, if it happens, just to tell him that you ran into me and that I'm still kicking. Oh, by the way, my name's Vargas. Vargas Lornton.
I would say it's a pleasure, but it's not really a pleasure when I have to sit and talk too long with somebody.
Oh, my mistake. I apologize. I didn't mean to pry. And he gets up. He never even looked at you once, and then he just kind of walks away and goes and disappears into one of the rooms behind the lodge. Behind the main hall, I should say.
We see him going in, walking around.
Oh yeah, I mean, you see all these people. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff happening. People are, some people are now starting to you can tell that they've had some libations. They're getting loose. There's a little bit of singing going on, maybe.
I'm just seeing that guy walk in. I probably would have elbowed Bortus and says, "Hey, look, there's a half elf. Get it?"
Well, I'll give you that. Oh, wow. What a day.
That's just
Not
Jeff.
often I make a joke.
Well done.
Yeah,
Well
so
done.
sweet. It's great.
As the meal winds down, plates are being pulled away and set off to be washed in the basin by a couple of the gang members. And Dolan is sitting there, and he looks over at you, Portis, and he there's all kinds of things going on. So it's not like everybody's listening into each individual conversation, right? It's kind of a little side conversation. Any of you can hear it if you decide that your character hears. It doesn't make really a whole lot of difference, but it's not like a big centerpiece conversation that's happening in front of everybody. But nevertheless, Deadeye Dolan kind of looks over at you, Portis, and you can see he pulls out that little pouch and starts to pack up a pipe, and he just kind of sets the unlit pipe on the table in front of him. He says, "You know what, Poultice? I know Carver a little bit, that son of a bitch. By the way, he owes me a bit of coin, but that's for another time. He mentioned that you're, back in Crockport, a God-fearing man. Now tell me, I'm just out of curiosity, how does a priestly type of procan get wrapped up in all of this wretched steel business? Seems, it seems off-brand, really."
Well, the church has need to know the comings and goings around the realm, of course. For one thing, it's not uncommon for the clergy to go about and do the church's bidding. I'm sort of eyeing the tobacco in the pipe on the table, but for my part, it's not something uncommon for me to travel about. And then, I tend to sometimes meet people along the way and get a little wrapped up in what's going on. There are things to learn so that the offerings can be made appropriately within the church?
I reckon that makes a whole lot of sense. I can tell you that this offering that you've procured for the wretched steel will not go unrewarded. Kraeth was concerned about your team's ability to pull this thing off, but with the information that you provided and a job well done, I reckon he's going to be right pleased when he sees this cargo. And he kind of gestures over, and you can see the cargo is piled high over in the corner still where they set it down. The crates of ignits and the rolled up bundle of swords and such.
Did Kraeth the Carver mention anything of particular interest to make sure it was in there? Did we get it all?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, there's a bit of secrecy in some of the dealings here, but I might know a few things. I did notice that there's something that's not with the cargo that I was told might be, but I wasn't going to pry.
What might that be?
A sphere of sorts.
I don't see. It may not have been there, actually. I don't recall seeing it. Any spheres, in particular? No.
Give me a deception check.
Oh no!
I'm trying to remember if I did see it. I don't remember.
You did. You know,
was
right
he
now,
there when we opened
yeah,
that
Philomena,
chest?
he was up on top of the wagon with you, and
okay.
Yep.
I think the only
Yeah,
person
Philomena has it in her bag right now.
The
Yeah.
only person who doesn't know about it probably is Grukka, because Grukka never
Yeah.
looked at the thing or anything. So Grukka, even if he's hearing this, Grukka's kind of like, I don't get it.
I don't know.
With DM permission,
Mhm.
I'd like to. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You're rolling a deception, right?
With DM permission, I'd like to slip into the actual poultice forgetfulness for just a moment. Let me see if I can recall to take advantage of my
Inspiration?
What do you call it? No, my initiative, not my initiative, my
Performance?
proficiency.
Oh, so you're not proficient in deception?
I am terrible at deception because my charisma is.
Oh my
sucks.
gosh, that's so surprising to me.
All right, I'll make you a deal. You can, I would say yes, you can use your proficiency, but it will be at disadvantage.
Don't forget you've got the.
Or you can roll straight without the proficiency. Up to you.
You have an inspiration point.
I do have inspiration,
Yep.
so I will take the straight roll.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then you can use the inspiration if you decide you want to.
Yes.
So did Mel hear that conversation at all?
If she wanted to.
Yeah. So she overhears that conversation. She goes, "Oh shit!" She goes up under her breath.
Philomena conveniently doesn't hear this.
Yeah.
I did get a 15,
Okay. All right.
and I would keep it.
He just kind of raises an eyebrow, looks at you in a knowing way. He says, well, not everything makes it all the way to its destination. But
Well said.
I think it behooves you to follow through on the rest of your obligation to the wretched steel and make sure that this cargo makes its way back to Crockport. Am I right?
You are absolutely right, and I do intend to see it through. Absolutely, there's no question about that.
Now I've got
Anything within my control and possession is certainly going to get where it needs to go.
That's what I like to hear. That's what the wretched steel likes to hear. What you're doing here is important work. Now I've got a skiff ready for you down at the water's edge. Drothak, who we affectionately refer to as the Grinder, will be piloting the said skiff with his crew back down to Crockport. And well, if you haven't already realized, you're going to be taking some of our old secret smuggling routes out of Lake Erstin north to Crockport.
Do I know about these routes? Just in passing? at least?
Give me a history check.
Sure. Probably not. That's an 8.
Okay. Do you want to use your inspiration?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so. I think
All right.
Is the
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask if the bugbear captain was he participating in this, or is
No,
he
he's not there. There's no bugbears at the table. Yep. I would say this, Portis, that you know geography, and you know that there's no river on any map that leads from Lake Erstin. In fact, the Lake Erstin itself is supposedly the headwaters of the river that flows through Chendel. It flows south, so into the Crystal River. It's kind of the headwaters of the Crystal River. Here, let me bring up a map. Actually, we haven't.
So,
Yeah.
so
We
is the
haven't
idea that
showed-
this might be spring-fed, underground? Part of volcanic.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a really good potential interpretation of what you're hearing here. So here's the map. This is again Anna B. Meyer's map. Let's put a link to Anna's Patreon in there. Please go check it out.
Yes.
So we are at Lake Erstin here, just to the west of the main route between Chendel and Crockport. And so you can see clearly that as the headwaters of the Crystal River that kind of flows through these massive canals, the city of Chendel has these big canals that run through it and then feeds into the Crystal River, which is navigable for a fair distance. Anyhow, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so you've got a little bit of an idea in your head, Portis, on maybe what's about to transpire as he's talking to you about this. They'll be ready to set out first thing in the morning.
We will be ready to go.
I reckon you will.
Will the gear be loaded for us, or do we need to transport that ourselves to the skiff?
We'll have it loaded.
Very well.
We don't like to leave anything to chance around here, so we'll take care of as much as we can, and our job is to get you safely to that boat and get you on your way. Once you're in the tunnels, the canals, you're on your own. Well, under the expert pilotage of our captain, of course, and crew.
Oh, naturally. I do have a question for you on a personal note. Do you ever make it over to Crockport yourself?
It's been quite some time since I have, but I've been known to sneak my way in there for a little bit of revelry from time to time. We'd like to check in.
If you should come to town, please do find me at the Church of Procan, and we will have a reunion. I would like that very much.
Well, you're a likable fella there, Poultice.
Likewise, thank you.
And your crew, they're reliable, if not a little unpredictable, which seems like a strange juxtaposition. But in my mind, I have both a sense of concern and a sense of confidence that you'll get the job done. I just keep an eye on them. You got yourself that greenhorn. He kind of nods towards Philiomena, and he says, "You've got that one over there." And he kind of gestures ever so subtly over to Mel. She's got a lot of anger pent up in there.
Oh, don't I know it?
Now, one person I don't think you need to worry about is that Hobgoblin companion of yours. He sure seems like a nice fella, that Grukka.
I just literally, like, Grukka, just like this toothy smile, like a little bit of like elk coming out of the side of his mouth. He's on his like 5th glass of beer.
I love it.
I'm still getting to know them a bit personally, on a personal level. I can't say that I know any of them very well. Grukka is a fine companion. You have my back, I feel, and I do appreciate that.
Got your back.
The greenhorn that you refer to, delightful child. I just simply have not fully understood what is going on there. You know, it's a bit of a mystery within that. Such a kind sort of person to be involved in such sort of, you know, activities as those rest of us who have made our living have become accustomed to. And then, of course, there is Melantha. I can assure you I will be keeping both eyes wide open for various reasons. But I digress. This elk is superb. And if ever I can return the favor for your hospitality, I just want to reiterate that I would love to see you in Croport.
Well, all thanks due to Rook Grail, tonight's chef, as he stands up and sort of like a little unsteady as Dolan gets up and raises a mug. And now we drink. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to take my leave. And he sets the empty glass down, grabs the pipe, and you watch him as he walks outside into the night air. As the others of this party begin to take care of what remains of clearing the tables as best they can. They're not super cleanly, certainly not up to Philomena's level of cleanliness. As they, yeah, they do the best that they can. And the night winds down, the fire begins to crackle low in the hearth. And you can see that people are sort of like going off to do whatever they do in the evening time or the late night at this point before falling off into a sleep. So I will go around the table here and just ask, is there anything else that you would like to do before taking your rest here in the Lake Erstin hideout? And I think we'll start with Grukka this time. Is there anything that you'd want to do before going to sleep, essentially?
Not particularly. I mean, he's gonna go back to that cabinet that Rook had pointed out, indicated, and he's gonna look for something that's a little bit more, nightcappy, a little more of a schnappy type drink. But instead of going up to whatever room he was assigned, actually he goes up to the room, and he's gonna grab his gear, and he's gonna go down out, and he's gonna go to where Anvil has been, stabled. And he goes in and he's gonna grab the horse blanket. It's a really big one. It's a monstrous blanket, and this is what he's always done. And he takes the blanket and it kind of rolls off of the mule and onto the straw ground and everything. And he kind of lays down on it. And he's just gonna roll up in it and look up at Anvil and be like, "You're my only friend." That's all he's gonna do. He's still in the job mode, so he didn't drink too much tonight because he knows that tomorrow he can't have a headache. He's not that of a drinker. He'll drink heavily when the job is done.
Got you. Okay. All right. So is that where you're going to spend the night? Is in the stable, or are you gonna take a room? There's rooms for each of you should you want one.
Well, yeah, he actually will. If anyone's checking up on him, he's not gonna be in his room. He's gonna be down in the stable. That's where he always migrated to when he was a kid. The mule's old, but sturdy. He's an Anvil, and that was his comfort. Was whenever his dad would berate him or punish him, he always ended up waking up next to Anvil.
Okay. All right. Very cool. So you settle in with your only friend in the world, a trusty mule that's been with you for a long, long time. All right. Let's go next to Mel. Is there anything, Mel, that you'd want to do before going to sleep? Oh, you're muted, Coco.
She didn't drink tonight because she basically saw, Poultice and Grukka basically, and Philomena basically have their fun. She's like, well, someone has to be, a little bit sober in our group. I'll choose. So she kind of like gathers up our straggling equipment, and because she knows that the sooner we get this job done, she can start gathering information on Magnus. and she goes to her assigned room. She doesn't immediately go to sleep. She goes and sits, I guess, in the window seat. And she, of course, brings out her journal again, and she's staring at the new name that popped up. And then also trying to remember the brother who she is also, because it hasn't popped up in her book, but she's trying to remember the name that doesn't really mean much to her, or at that point, at that moment. Also trying to remember when they get back to Crockport to find this brother and I guess give him the update.
Okay, so you're looking to see if Jameson's name is in the book?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Or Vargas.
Give me Mel, give me a percentile roll, please.
I said in the chat earlier, don't give Mel names. Don't ever give Mel
I
names.
know, I saw that.
Name taker.
49.
Okay. You look through the book and you see Magnus Crane's name still there, gathering your attention, but you do not see any new names. Jameson's name is not in your book.
So because that name hasn't popped up, it's not really like clicking with her to remember it. So she's more than likely remember it for a little while, then it will forget. But then when the time is right, she'll remember it. But then after looking in her book for a little bit, she finally goes and lays down, pulls out her dagger and lays it across her chest, and then falls asleep.
Sick bunch.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a kernel of goodness in all of them, but I don't know if that's true anymore. All right, next we will go to Brother Portis.
I have had a wonderful day, and I will retire to my room, and I still have Dolan's pipe. So I will keep it, and as I prepare to go off to slumber, I'm going to smell that tobacco. I'm going to hold it to my nose and just hold on to these fond memories of today, because to my knowledge, it has been a good day for everyone, and for me above all, in an uncommon moment of experience, of lightness and joy. I've been well fed. I've made friends. I've gathered some information, and I have discovered this most wonderful tobacco and this token of friendship that I will hold with me whether Dolan meant for me to have it or not. And I will keep it. And I will off to sleep.
Okay. And finally, we'll go to Philomena.
I think it's a similar look to the previous night of she's laying in bed and trying to fall asleep. And kind of what your mind does before you lay down after a rather long day, sometimes kind of going through the events of what happened and replaying conversations and looking at it in different angles of things she could have said differently, or things that she didn't really understand about what Zella was saying, and things that she does but might not agree with, and then thinking of the contrast of Mel and Grukka's perspectives on it, and how she, in a strange way, respects that they are so dedicated to what they do, but also in her heart of heart knowing that she doesn't want to be like that. And that just difference of not wanting to be like that and wanting so badly to have the governess fail in some way just kind of keeps warring against each other as she tries to sleep.
You close your eyes, Philomena, the rest of you doing your best to fall asleep. Some of you perhaps aided by a bit of drink, perhaps not. Some of you aided by the anticipation of the next step of whatever this journey is towards your fates. You can hear the crickets in this beautiful scene at night in the forest, the woods overlooking this beautiful lake set in this old volcanic cinder cone. The sound of the water just splashing ever so gently in the distance, and the hoot of an owl, a barred owl, somewhere nearby in a tree. A faint, distant response of a second owl, perhaps, in a territory adjacent, or perhaps a mate. And the night is calm and peaceful. And one by one, you each begin to drift into a sleep, as you know that rest is needed. I would say, Philomena, you have a bit of a restless sleep based on your state of mind, the things that you've been pondering before you fell asleep. And one of the last things that you sort of think about that comes into your mind before you drift off into the depths of dream and darkness is a voice. You hear a voice again, now becoming more familiar. Gentle, almost soothing voice. And it just says, Magnus Crane. The curiosity and the promise. And with that, you just drift off into sleep. Grukka,
Oh, no.
you are out in the stable sleeping amongst the horses. And you are kind of shaken out of slumber. It appears to be, you're not sure how long you've been out, but they're restless. You can hear Anvil sort of snorting. The other horses, Dodie and Phaler. Did I get that right, Mel? Phaler? Yep. Dodie and Phaler, the horses that your companions rode, all of them sort of becoming agitated as you stand up and you listen. The hooting of the owl that was there when you fell asleep is no longer there. The crickets, just silence. You stand up and look around. It seems odd to you as you gather your things up. And that's when you hear a shout. Someone's here! You hear a bell begin to ring. Bang, dang, dang. The three of you that were asleep in the house kind of rouse from your slumber in various states of uncertainty of what's happening. And you hear another voice of someone running down the hall, their boots slamming on the wood floor as they race down the hallway. There's someone out there. We're under attack. You hear another cry from outside. And I would say, Mel, as you look, you kind of throw open the shutters and look outside. You stare down and you can see Vargas, the elf with the one ear missing, has just taken a massive bolt right into the chest from a longbow and is falling down onto his knees and then falling forward and slumping into a lifeless heap. What do you do, Mel?
I immediately run out of my room and I go and shout out in front of Portis's and Philomena's room. Get your asses up! We need to get the cargo and get the hell out of here.
You hear her voice outside your door as you yourselves are pulling yourselves together and looking for the things that you had laid out or set down. We'll come back to Philomena and Brother Portis in a second, but Grukka, as you stand up and look around, you see a dark shadow run past towards the lodge. What are you doing? You have your animal companions there with you as well. What would you want to do?
Well, as soon as Grukka's not an idiot, but he as soon as he hears a clang, 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 it's like instinct will take over, and he just where his bag and everything is he's got the chain shirt, he just literally just throws down over whatever he's got. Doesn't matter how uncomfortable it is, and he's already running out the stable door with his broadsword. Or actually, he saw the shadow. You said he's gonna follow the direction that he saw. Thought he saw a shadow.
Okay, give me a perception
he's
check.
Probably away from the house a bit, so he's not hearing Mel, or he's not hearing.
No, he doesn't know what's going on inside the house. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
Perception. Where's my perception? Okay, +2. Oh, okay, 16 + 2, 18.
18. Okay. You race out and look in the darkness, and you can see the figure jump out of the shadows, and there's another individual with a longbow raised, poised to loose the arrow, and you see the shadowy figure is this is Rook Grail, the orc, who raises up an axe, the axe that Red Bill had been using to chop wood earlier, and just cuts the bowman down, and he turns to you with just like rage in his eyes as he's just all of the veins are poking out or sticking out on his neck. Do you say anything to him, or what do you do?
Grukka just growls. He says, I feel what you feel.
We're under attack. Get yourselves, your beasts, and your comrades down to the ship. Get to the skiff. And that's when another bolt comes flying in and hits him in the back. And he kind of looks around. He breaks the bolt off, and he looks in the direction that it came from, and he just runs into the darkness towards it.
I grab Anvil then. I mean, just I flip up the blanket on top of Anvil. I throw my bag onto the hooks on his equipment, you know, the bridle and all that stuff, the saddle. And if I release the other horses, I grab Doty and Phaler. I'm going to try to lead them because you know,
you grab your companion's horses, and you're going to kind of guide them down towards wherever the skiff is located.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still dark then.
It's still dark. Yeah, I mean, this is like this is like pre-wee hours of the morning, so whatever that is, the darkness of midnight. All right, so you're doing that. Let's go back up to inside the lodge as Philomena and Portis are grabbing your things, and you sort of open the doors, and you see Mel sort of running towards the stairs that lead down to the Great Hall. What are you doing, Philomena?
I think she's immediately looking around to try and grasp if the threat is in the house, where people are, as she's kind of running down the stairs, just trying to take in as much information as possible.
Give me a perception check.
Make an informed decision.
Yeah, totally.
Oh no, that's a natural one.
Natural one. You're not sure. It's chaos. You just woke up from a deep slumber, although a little bit conflicted in the REM cycle of this sleep. But you're up. You're disoriented. You see Portis standing there. Portis, what are you doing?
As soon as I woke up, I instinctively put the pipe between my teeth, and then I realized there's something going on, and I leave it there, and I run to my pack, and I grab it. But before I do, I reach in and I grab a wand that I have inside the pack, and I throw the pack over my shoulder, and I run out to the hallway, and I see Melanthus scrambling and saying something about getting to the boat, and Philomena standing there, and I say, "Come, child," and I hobble back into poultice character, so that should I be seen from someone I don't wish to, that I'm not noticeably younger than I want to appear. And I shuffle my way down the hallway, and I carefully making my way down the stairs so I don't fall, but as quickly as I possibly can, not to trip and hurt myself. I don't need a broken hip, you know, because it can happen to someone. And then I make my way towards the boat.
Okay, so you
like reflexively tries to help you down the stairs, and then it's like, why am I doing this? And just starts to grab some of the swords.
Too good. It's too good. Yeah, so all of you start to make your way down. Mel, of course, you leading the way, almost like jumping down flights of stairs to get to the main hall, where you can see that Dolan is engaged in combat with somebody. They're fisticuffs fighting. Dolan throws this guy over the table and pounces like a cat on top of him and just starts punching his face. And then the guy like draws a blade, and you watch as the guy underneath Dolan jabs the blade up into his gut, and you can hear the sound of the skin being pierced and blood dripping out, and Dolan has just got the guy by the throat and is choking him. What do you do, Mel?
So the job to do. One track mind. She immediately runs over to where the cargo is, starts grabbing the sword.
Incidentally, not to interrupt, but I need to. The cargo's not there.
Okay, so.
And then you see the guy jabbing a knife back into Dolan's stomach again. And Dolan just kind of goes weak as he's trying so hard to stop this guy from breathing.
So Mel runs over to Dolan. I guess grabs him by the back and kind of like grabs him by the scuff of his shirt or tunic and throws him back. And engages the guy who stabbed Dolan and tries to get.
What do you want to do? He's kind of pulling himself up as you've pulled Dolan off. He's pulling himself up, and it looks like he's going to lunge at you from the table. But he is kind of prone at this moment as you get there.
I'm going to dodge out of the way, and pull my short sword and ask, "Where the hell is the cargo?"
You're asking this guy where the cargo is? Okay.
Yeah.
And he says, "That's what I was here to find out." And he kind of lunges towards you. Go ahead and roll initiative for me real quick, Mel. Portis, you are hobbling down the stairs and you see all of this commotion going on, and you see Dolan kind of like off to the side after being pulled off of this guy, and he's holding his abdomen. There's blood kind of seeping out from his fingers as he kind of pulls himself up, seeing you walking down the stairs. What'd you get, Mel?
I got a 5.
Okay, so he is going to make an attack with his dagger at you. I rolled a natural 1. As he lunges, you step out of the way, and he kind of loses his balance and falls down on one knee right below you. What do you want to do?
I'm going to thrust my short sword into his chest.
Roll an attack, please, with your short sword.
Right.
Meanwhile, Portis, you're coming down the stairs. Dolan's right there. What are you doing, Portis?
Oh, I rush to him on the floor and I say, hold there, new friend. And I cure wounds. I place my hand on him and cure wounds.
Thank you, brother. He kind of puts his hand on your shoulder and he says, "The cargo's been loaded. Get to the skiff." And he turns around and he pulls out a dagger from behind in the back of his pant. Coco, what did you get for your attack your attack?
13.
13 hits. Roll damage, please.
Right.
Philomena, this is happening. You watch as Brother Portis provides some healing to Dolan. Dolan tells both of you that the cargo has been loaded. You could hear commotion going on. Another individual comes into the room with a hand crossbow, takes a shot. The bolt comes across, hits Dolan right in the neck. And you hear, "Calston Rangers, everybody stop!" And Dolan drops to the ground as he starts to bleed out again. What'd you get, Coco, for damage?
8 points of damage.
Tell me how you kill this guy, as he's kind of like on one knee below you.
I aim for the heart, and that's exactly where I hit. Thrust up as hard as I can, hitting bone, breaking ribs into the heart, straight and true.
Yeah, he doesn't even notice that he's dead before he's dead.
Exactly how I want him.
You withdraw your sword and you look over, and there's a guy who just unloaded a crossbow bolt. Dolan is on the ground bleeding out, and Red Bill comes flying out of nowhere with a hand axe and just like a tomahawk, just right into the back of this Calston Ranger's head. You can just see in the glint of some of the torchlight that's now being moved around. You can tell people are holding torches as they're moving through the house. He has like a little like badge made out of some sort of a copper, indicating that he's a Calston Ranger, but now he is no longer with us. And Bill looks over and he says, "For God's sakes, get the fuck out. You got to get out of here with the cargo." And he turns and he races off. What are the three of you doing at this point?
Philomena just watched a bunch of people just die in such quick succession, and has really just been standing there like slack jaw, just stuck in shock, and seeing the Calston Ranger's head just kind of split and catching the glint of that bronze or copper emblem. She just runs towards it, grabs it, and starts to leave. Just starts running out the house.
Okay.
And as she goes, she turns into the man she just saw die.
Hell yes. I love that. All right, so you start to leave. Portis, how about you? What's your decision here?
I leave my new friend with my other new friend, and I hobble after my allies out the door, knowing that the cargo has been loaded, and keeping up appearances. Move as quickly as I can. I do still have my wand in hand, but I'm not using it yet. As I move outside of doors into the darkness of the night, on my way to the skiff as quickly as possible for an old man to hobble.
Okay. And Mel, do you follow your companions as well, or what are you doing after you withdraw your sword from the body?
Yeah, I, flick off the blood, re-sheath my sword, and I book it out of there right after the rest of my companions.
Okay, you guys come out into the cold night air. It's dark, but you can see the illumination, the flicker of torches, and you hear, "They're over here! Calistrin! To arms! To arms!" And you can hear voices yelling. You can hear the clang of swords against sword, people shouting in pain as they are put down or wounded. Let's go over to Grukka quickly. Grukka, you've got these 3 animals that you are guiding down this rocky path towards the lake, where you saw there was a dock and a small skiff, picking your way down there. And as you do, someone steps out of the darkness and says, "Your time's up. It's time to stop. You know why we're here. You know who we are." What do you do, Grukka? It's kind of blocking your path.
Yeah, without skipping a beat, Grukka just looks at him. He's like, "Grukka, stop for no one," and he's just gonna grab that. He's it's like Mel with her book. She doesn't even know she's touching it. Before I even realize it, my greatsword's already in my hand, and I'm running at this guy, swinging him.
Roll initiative, please.
All right, initiative. I get. Where's my initiative? Grukka Sharpe. My bonus is 12, 15.
Okay. I got a 16. So he sees you coming and he pulls out a long sword to meet your attack. As you come in, he is going to swing at you. That's going to be a 17.
Yeah, that hits.
All right, so he cuts you across the arm that you have your sword in. I'm guessing that you dropped the reins that are on anvil, or you've still got them in one of your hands. But nevertheless, he is going to do 4 slashing damage on you. Go ahead, it's your turn.
Okay. Grukka just he literally glances at the hit this person just made on him. And he just smiles and says, "Motivation." Where's my action? Actions, here we go. The +5. That's a dirty 20.
Dirty 20 hits. Go ahead and roll damage, please.
All right, damage on that. 2d6 + 3. 9 + 3 is 12.
Oh, that's exactly how many hit points this guy had. This guy had never had a chance, and you come down and you just cut him down. And do you say anything or do anything as he drops to the ground and rolls off to the side?
Oh yeah, I mean he's not even stopping. He just cuts right through this guy, and as the guy's falling to the ground lifelessly, Grukka just says, "Grukka likes a challenge. Grukka doesn't like you," and just keep leading the horses down.
Okay. So you continue down, and you can see down by the water now as you come around and out of the trees that there is a lantern that is lit on the end of the dock. So you have sort of a destination of where you're going. Now, Portis, as you are stepping out following Philiomena, and Philiomena gets ahead of you a little bit, and one of these rangers steps out in front of you and looks at you and says, "Stop right where you are." And then he turns away from you for a second and draws their sword, or has their sword drawn actually, turns and looks at Mel as Mel comes blasting out of the door as well and takes their eye off of you. I would like both of you to roll initiative, please.
Oof.
What'd you get, Ty?
9.
9, okay. And Mel?
Got a 16.
16. Okay, Mel, you have the initiative at this point.
All right. Well, how far away am I from the dock? What do you say?
Oh, you guys are a little ways from the dock still. You are just outside the lodge. The dock is down the hill, maybe like, I don't know, an eighth of a mile down this scree slope, like switchbacks to get down to the dock. So you're not very close to it.
Okay, so definitely more than 30 feet, you would say.
Absolutely more than 30 feet to the docks, 100%. But you're within about 25 feet of this guy that just kind of stopped Brother Portis and then turned towards you.
So I am going to run up with my short sword and engage him.
Okay, yeah, you have the initiative, so go ahead and make an attack, please.
All right. That is a 25.
Wow.
25 will definitely hit.
Grukka proud.
That is 7 points of damage.
7 points. Okay, it doesn't take him down, but it definitely hurt him. He takes a massive hit from you. And then it is his turn. He is going to try to hit you with his sword. I just rolled a natural 20, Mel. I'm so sorry. He is going to do... He's going to do 10 points of slashing damage against you, Mel. As you take a big hit, as he's sort of like falling to the side from your attack, he swings up and catches you. Are you wearing armor? Do you wear armor?
Light armor.
Yeah, so it just kind of catches like a seam in the armor and sneaks up underneath and slices. You can feel the wetness beneath it. That brings us to Portis. Portis, this guy's not looking at you. With your disguise as an old man, you get the sense, I mean, old men, they get overlooked, right? He doesn't think you're a threat.
All right. I'm going to reach out and try to grab him by the back of the head. That
What's
is
your
a dirty
intention here?
20. I am inflicting wounds.
Okay, yeah. You definitely hit him. There's no question about it. Thank you so much, you guys. Penborough, thank you very much. Portis, you have an advantage, so keep that in mind. When you need it, you'll have an advantage. Just a reminder that advantages you do need to declare before you roll to use the advantages. Go ahead. What kind of damage did you do to this fella?
24 points.
Oh my God. Okay. That's more than his hit point maximum. So this is like an epic kill. So please, Brother Portis, describe for us how much wound do you inflict on this guy?
Finish
I literally grab him by the back of the head, the full head of hair. And as the necrotic damage emanates from my hand, it shrivels his head into just a black lump of charred flesh, literally shrinking his head on his shoulders. And I just throw him to the ground and I say, for the glory of Cyril. And then I glance over at Mel.
And Philomena.
You don't hear that. Let's go.
All right, you guys, at that, I don't know, like, Philomena, what's your response when you see this happen?
Does she see? I think she's kind of run ahead. I don't think she knows what's happening behind her.
Oh, right. Yeah, you are up ahead.
Focused on is looking for Zella and looking for the big hobgoblin that's probably covered in blood. And as she's doing this, she's reaching up to an earring that she has, just one on one side, and casting message through it to Grukka.
Okay.
Are you alive? Are you okay? Where are you?
You're in my head. I'm fine. I'm heading to.
Great. You got it. Okay. And I'm looking for Zella now.
Okay, you look around and you can't see anybody. It's darkness. All you see are torches moving around in this dark space in between these tall trees. As you've run away from the building, you can see as you look back towards the lodge that some of the rooms, the windows of some of the rooms you can see glows of light as people are moving about, searching for probably you and your companions or whoever else it might be. You can hear cries of pain as people are being attacked and combat is happening in the distance. And you can hear like this crazy dark sizzle going on back just up the trail a little bit where Portis just totally barbecued this guy's head.
Don't look, not
So
looking.
Mel, you saw this happen. So Mel, is there any reaction when you see this happen and you hear Portis's proclamation? Do you have any response to that or any reaction to it or?
Music is perfect.
Anything, Mel, that you want to add or?
I think it's that. I think she's laughing.
Sorry. She looks at him, she goes, that's a nice little trick. Too bad you won't get to use it on me.
I wouldn't worry about me using it on you, but remember this. Remember this part. Forget what I said, but remember this part. Come on, let's go.
Oh no, I will not forget what you said.
We should talk, but not now.
Oh, of course not now.
No, not now. And I can see to your wounds as well, but not now. Come on, let's go. Let's.
Are we running while talking to each other?
Absolutely.
Well, Portis is kind of. Are you running, Portis? Or are you still doing the old man routine?
I'm doing the old man routine, but I can move as long as nothing snaps.
It's a quick old man.
As long as the osteoporosis.
You guys hustle down. You hustle down the slope, following this poorly marked trail. You can see now as you come out of the trees. You can hear, or you can see the lantern down by the docks. You hear from behind you as you're making your way down and away from the action. You hear someone say, "They've got a necromancer or a sorcerer of some kind." And then you watch as torches begin to come down the path behind you, multiple torches following from behind. As you pick up your pace, you make it down, and you can see Grukka is at the docks with the 3 horses. And I'm sure there's some relief to see that your horses are there as well, and they're being loaded onto this skiff. It's kind of a small skiff, so at first you're like, how are we all going to fit on here? But one by one you make your way down there, and there's this towering bugbear with jagged teeth and this kind of thick matted fur, and he looks and he says, "Everyone get on here, we're getting the fuck out of here now. Boys, shove off." And Portis, you're just kind of getting to the dock as they're unlashing the skiff and getting ready to push off. Meanwhile, these torches are closing in on you as these Calston Rangers are running down the slope. And then you can hear the stretching of bowstrings as these arrows start to fly through the air. Everybody give me a dexterity saving throw, please.
I would also like to add that as Philomena's running, she's yelling for Zella.
Like out loud? Zella!
Yeah.
Zella!
Yeah.
All right, so dex saves all around, please.
17 as I, for just a moment, find the youth in my legs.
Okay.
22.
14.
Okay, and Grukka?
Grukka got a 5.
5. Okay, Grukka, one of the arrows comes down and hits you in the back as you take an arrow. And it's at the same time where these arrows are coming down, splashing in the water around you, some of them hitting the dock, some of them hitting the skiff itself. Luckily, none of them hitting the horses. But these arrows are coming in and splashing around you, and Grukka takes one in the back for 6 points of piercing damage as you take it and grimace maybe a little bit. And this is when Portis and Mel are just getting onto the skiff. Meanwhile, these 4 hobgoblins who are the crew members of the ship are shoving off, and each of them grabs a massive oar, and they start paddling these 4 massive oars as they're taking off. Everybody give me another dexterity saving throw as you hear the stretching of bowstring and the release and the whiz of these arrows flying through the air.
15.
Okay. Grukka?
Grukka got a 15 this time.
And Portis.
I am going to use my inspiration to re-roll that.
All right.
And I'm going to go ahead and use my... Can I use my... Well, no, I'll just use my inspiration. Come on. 12.
Okay, so an arrow hits you, Portis, as you guys are pushing off. You're getting some distance. These hobgoblin oarmen are strong, and they are straining and putting everything into it. And you hear Dorthak the Grinder, "Put your backs into it, boys, or it's your death." And he shouts that out, and he shields the lantern to put out the light on the skiff, right? It's like a hooded lantern. He drops the hood over it, and everything goes dark. All you can hear is the grunting of these hobgoblin oarmen and the splash of the paddles and the splash of these arrows. And Portis, you take 2 points of piercing damage as you take an arrow right in the shoulder. But eventually you are able to get just out of distance as you can still hear the arrows dropping into the water, but the target is no longer visible to them, and they do not find purchase on any of you, the horses, any of the crew members, or indeed the captain of the ship as he looks at you and he smiles with this big toothy grin and says, "Well, that was fucking close." And that, my friends, I think is where we will end tonight's stream. As you paddle off on this skiff, you look back and you can see the glow of torches on the shoreline. You can just kind of make out the sun rising over the tree line and illuminating some of the like the outline of the tree line above as the oars just push and heave, and the whole skiff is creaking as you make your way into the far reaches of this lake. And that's where we will end tonight's session, and we will come back next week to find out what happens next. You have narrowly averted being captured by the Callinston Rangers, with some pretty brutal effects along the way. So congratulations, my friends. Nice job. Well done.
Oh my god.
That freaked me out, man.
I'm sweating again.
Well, I'm glad you had fun. That's what it's all about.
Oh, it was so much fun.
Holy shit, you guys. Awesome freaking role play tonight. Great action. Really awesome insights into each of the characters. You guys really brought it tonight. I appreciate that so much. It makes it so fun. So thank you for that. And thanks to the chat for also being a really important part of the fun that we have here. Thank you so much, guys. Really, really fun. Holy cow. Yeah, I'm totally sweating. I think I might have to hit the shower. I'm going to hit the showers after this.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
A little bit. It's 69 degrees out here right now.
69,
that sounds
dude.
really nice. I might do that.
It does sound nice.
We got Hurricane Milton's,
Ooh.
cold front coming in, so
boy. Come on, you hurricanes. Just give it a rest. All right, you guys, thank you so much. We really appreciate all of this. I want to thank my players for just an awesome game. I'm buzzing right now. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to go to sleep for like hours after this. This is how it goes. Let's go around the table. Please reintroduce yourself. For folks who just tuned in late in the game, thank you for being here. Go back and watch the beginning because this whole session has been absolutely fantastic. But
so good.
Let's go around. Let's go ahead. Rachel, let's start with you, please.
Hi. I am Rachel, also known as Ktyria. You can find me as Ktyria on the Guild Superior Discord. I play Philiomena Loreil. We already did our little introductions. You should go back and rewatch them just in case if you didn't, because it's really great. This is a great session. I'm having a wonderful time.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Truly, find me here next week on Tuesday. And hey, if you have anything else you might want me to be a part of, hit me up. Let me know.
Heck yeah.
Cool stuff. We can chat.
You want to play with Rachel. It's very fun to play with. Brings a lot of energy and takes great notes.
Thank you.
So yes.
We're on page 8.
Highly recommended. Page 8 of the notes. Highly recommended. Thank you so much, Rachel, for being here. I know you're busy with school and a lot of different things, but I look forward to this so much. Let's jump over to Dungeon Mr. Ty next.
Hey, thanks for tonight, and love this group. A lot of things to say, but in the interest of brevity for now, I am Dungeon Mr. Ty at Adventure Sling Productions. I do want to shout out that we just dropped our Adventure Sling podcast for the month, where we interviewed Darling Creepshow. So that is out there, happening right now. She was a fantastic guest.
Very fun.
And I am currently processing, which means recording, editing, the next Chronicles of Nephis episode, which I hope to have out within the week as well. So that is the dramatic audio cast, actual play, whatever.
In Nuavarden.
Set in Nuavarden.
Yes,
correct.
So good.
Episode 5.
Yep.
Episode 4 in number, episode 5 in total. So I played Portis Kingford, who is having a great time with costumes and the wacky tobacco this evening. And also a little bit of other.
How that happens.
Tonight's episode for Portis was just head shrinking. That's what it was all about.
Yeah, right.
One way or another.
I mean, very straightforward. It was wonderful. Yeah, that was very good. So, why is the tobacco always wacky in my games? I don't know. That just kind of happens. You could read between the lines.
I was about to say, what was I say about you?
Ty, thank you so much well, just wait till next week, y'all. I had a whole bunch of things planned for beyond all this, but we were having way too much fun, and I was not in any hurry to get through this session because there was so much fun role play happening. But next week I think you'll enjoy it quite a bit. Ty, I can't wait to play more Nuavarden. So we need to talk about some plans for 2025.
Wonderful.
Let's go next to Coco Bunny.
Hi.
Thank you for being here again.
Thank you so much for having me. I am looking forward to the next 3 weeks. I cannot wait to see how this unfolds. But I am Coco Bunny 94. I'm a variety streamer on Twitch. I play basically any type of game, any type of horror games, first-person shooter games like Fortnite. I do Lego streams. I forgot to say that at the beginning, but I do that as well. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I don't normally roleplay. If y'all see me on other streams, I don't normally roleplay. It's mainly fighting, like
You're
old
doing
school.
awesome.
So thank you.
Yes,
Like
that-
that. Like
I was going to say, you're absolutely lying. You're
Yeah,
lying.
it's so
You
good.
roleplay so well.
I don't normally roleplay, and seeing all the encouraging words in chat, and then from all of y'all I'm playing with, it helps a lot, and it definitely hypes me up, and it makes me want to do roleplay even better. So I love this. I absolutely do. It is like a masterpiece.
Oh, that is so great. And yes, I mean, this is an opportunity for all of us to expand. I mean, go for things that we maybe haven't done before with characters and have some fun with being outlaws. And you're doing awesome. And you're a great element of this entire table. So thank you so much for being here. And then holy shit, let's go to Jeff next. Jeff, you came out of nowhere with that Grukka bit. Wow. Nicely done, sir. That was a lot of fun.
Absolutely incredible.
I don't know what else to say, but that was
I'm
great.
ScottishJeff. You can find me in the chats, everywhere. Lord Gasumba, Guild Superior, and whatnot. I am also active in the Discord for Guild Superior, playing a lot of Shadow Dark.
Oh yeah.
Non-stream for those of you that don't want to be in front of the camera, But yeah, I play Grukka Sharpe, and I also play Grukka Sharpe.
Wanted.
It's an absolute pleasure to be able to play somebody with like literally a broken moral compass. I feel like I'm playing a lawful neutral character and also a chaotic neutral evil tendencies character now. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to really explore this. I love to role play. I like rolling dice, but I like to flesh out characters, and I don't know what I'm gonna do until 10 minutes before I do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, but yeah, it's a pleasure to play Grukka, and it's a pleasure to play with you guys. You guys are all fantastic. This is a very, very insane group, and this is gonna be a great 10-episode series, right?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm down for 10. Let's go.
Twice a week.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential with this group. Now, that is all premised on the fact that any of you live beyond the 5th episode of this game, because
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say, like, there's gonna be some folks looking for yous now.
Yeah,
You know?
looking for Poultice, the old man necromancer. So
That's true.
Grukka's
That's
looking
true.
at Philomena, and she's always calling me.
I'm a park
large-
ranger right now, so
Yeah, you guys have done a pretty good
Like,
job
I'm
of
this
covering your
large
tracks. That's
hobgoblin.
absolutely true.
And next week, Grukka's going to point at the rowers, the hobgoblins, and say, "You think I'm big? Look at those monsters."
Yeah, they are huge. They are
that's
huge.
so great. Wow, I'm so glad to be on a boat with so many strong, capable men.
Yep. Bunch of hobgoblins.
And an assassin.
A wonderful game, you guys. As I said, thank you very, very much for being part of it. I want to quickly, before we raid, we're going to raid into Legacy of Fools here in a minute. So please, if you're hanging out with us in the chat, stick around. We're going to get into that. But I wanted to quickly point out that we have a new game starting up in just under 2 weeks, the 19th of October. Our friend Alan Henry is coming back to the channel. Of course, Alan was in our virtual Greyhawk Con game on Sunday, and man, that was a great session too, by the way. Holy shit. That was like over 4 hours of fantastic stuff. It could have. That was fun. But Alan is coming back behind the GM screen for a Tales from the Loop 5-parter, or short stint anyways. So that's happening. Please check that out. And then next week, I'll have some promos also for Shiv's Tales from the Whisperwood Part 3 that's coming up. That's starting in November. So lots happening, you guys. And some great storytelling coming to this channel. And that's what I love. I love to facilitate people having fun telling stories.
And
so,
boy, do you.
Whoo, yeah, it's a blast. All right. So thank you all for being here. I think I've talked enough. My voice is almost gone. What a blast. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next week. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.
Bye.